All right. It's JD Temple here, and I have a very special guest with me this evening. Joining us is Dennis Eggleston from Travel Tarot. He's got his own channel on YouTube, which I found through a good friend of mine. But before I get into that, I want to thank Dennis for being here with us this evening. How you doing, Dennis?
Doing well, thank you. Doing well.
Awesome. Awesome, man. Well, you know, I've really been excited to have Dennis on for quite a few weeks now, and we've been trying to link up, I really wanted to do a live broadcast like I typically do, but for whatever reason, technology just was not working with us, and it just we could never really get a strong signal. So we're going, this method here of just recording and uploading later. So, that's totally fine. But, I'm really excited to have him. Everybody should check his channel out if you're into, tarot or astrology, anything of that nature. You're going to really, really love his content, his approach, his delivery. He has a very, very unique way of reading tarot, in my opinion. I mean, maybe I just haven't been around long enough, but from what I have seen in other people, the difference between the way that they do a reading and the way he does a reading is just night and day. Uh, Tell us a little bit about your history with tarot, Dennis. I mean, I'm really interested to hear your story.
Okay. Well, I've been doing tarot for about a year, actually. On YouTube, around YouTube, and a few years, just kind of personally, like a hobby. I started doing tarot just from when my life got kind of difficult, and I started using the cards just to see what I could do. I wondered if they were real. And I started to get results with them, just doing spreads for myself. And then I started doing spreads for other people around me, friends, my girlfriend, family members, and I started to get really accurate. To my amazement, I was able to. The cards responded well in my hands, and it actually took a while. It was kind of crazy because it did take a while. I carried around the deck of tarot cards with me for a long time, actually, before I ever got into them. So like it could have been 6 months that I actually couldn't even do anything with the deck. But I carried them in my pocket, the cards in my pocket, and I wanted to do them, but I just didn't have the energy right. It wouldn't work right. And I was really determined to want to do it. But I remember I carried that deck of cards around for, it could have been over 6 months. But finally, I started actually pulling it out once in a while, and it slowly came. The energy slowly started working. It started to become something real, and when it did become something real, it was exciting. It was eye opening, and it was unbelievable. Actually, I mean, it was completely unbelievable. So I was really into it. I got into it. Suddenly, I had a purpose in life. I went from like having really no purpose to having a complete purpose.
I know the feeling. I know the feeling. It is very exciting once you have that awakening, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was. There's a lot of things I found out about searching for truth and trying to find truth, and using tarot cards to find truth. Doing readings and learning things about doing readings with different people, and learning the similarities between all the signs in the zodiac. Start to learn. You start to see like patterns of in a lot of different ways. You start to see patterns of different signs, how the signs are relating to each other, how some signs are having problems that are the same, like Aries and Taurus are having problems that are the same. And those are the only two signs that are really having problems exactly the same. Like all the Aries that pretty much that that I've ever done readings for, even across the world, literally are having the same exact problem. The Aries, and same with the Taurus, are having the same exact problem. And most of the other signs are not having the same problems. The problems are just very different, nothing connected. But with the plural and the singular, or the Aries and the Taurus, there's a lot of connections there. So it opened a door to a lot of, a lot of crazy stuff, truths that were shocking. And we'll be talking about that tonight.
Yeah, man. Like, how did, like, what I was really curious about is how did you come to the understanding that you do have of all the signs and the different nuances of each one, and how you relate those to your card readings the way that you do? I mean, because I mean, really, the way that you break things down and the way that you get into things in regards to each sign, I mean, it really does feel to me like you are able to kind of open somebody's mind up and climb in there and really mirror to them what the hell is going on with their life. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I probably one of the quickest things I learned about astrology, or I started to learn about astrology, linking it directly to tarot cards. And I found that I couldn't do astrology without doing tarot, or vice versa. I mean, I literally felt like I couldn't read tarot cards unless I was including planets and, the zodiac signs in there. And so I was drawn to mix the astrology with the tarot. And to me, it could not be mixed. It had to be mixed. If it was going to make any sense to me, it had to be astrology with the tarot. And I started to find truths and see stuff. And a lot of the truths I found were truths that I don't know if I wanted to even find them. I did. I definitely wanted to find them, but there was a lot of times, making money, trying to make money, doing a business. Of course, what's my sales pitch, trying to get, more clients. And then, of course, the truth of the matter being, what if they don't like some of the things I'm finding information that, whoa, maybe people won't like this at all. Maybe, in fact, they'll hate this, or they'll say, what the hell, where did you get that? And understand some truths I start to find, and I think, wow, they're not going to like me at all. Like I don't want to, do I want to find these truths? So I think I did have a lot of emotional issues, for a while, in my head running around, like, what do I do? Is this about me making money in my business? Literally? Yeah, of course it is. But okay, is this about me telling the truth too? Or should I not say something if I'm going to stir up a big problem, should I not say things? And I went back and forth. And ultimately, in a polite way, I realized, yeah, I'm gonna expose it all pretty much, but in a way that doesn't hurt, hopefully, doesn't shock too bad or hurt too bad. So of course I can't literally put it all on the line. I have to filter it in, because it's shocking, a lot of things, like, for instance, as an example, the pagans who had astrology as their religion. I figured out very soon, doing tarot readings and astrology, I figured out that astrology is a religion. Astrology is it's not a pastime. It's not a hobby. It's an actual religion. It's older than Christianity. In fact, it was the religion that Christianity took over. Christianity took over, and we're not, look, I don't, I've got this big belief. I'm not blaming anyone. You know what I mean? It's like, we're all mad. We're all upset about things, and, but I'm not going to be here to blame anyone. I'm going to literally be here just to, speak the truth, figure the truth out, share some of the truth. Hopefully we all feel better, in the end. And nobody's going to be, if I have anything to say about it, nobody's going to be casting blame. I want to be careful not to. There are a lot of things that have to blame. You got to be careful, because the Christians removed the pagan astrology as a religion. And when you look at the Bible and you look at, the demons and the devils in the Bible, well, it's normal to talk about demons and devils in astrology. Well, it is if you know that they are in astrology. But if you don't think they are in astrology, then it might not be. When I found out that there were that literally the astrology it was just as common to talk about demons and devils in astrology. It should be just as common, especially since I started seeing literally that Aries was a demon, a singular demon, that Leo was a plural demon. They're also demigods or demigoddesses. Literally, possession and being possessed is something all the signs do with each other. and absolutely can't be avoided. Like the whole human race is possessing itself and each other, and we're all being possessed and possessing. And it's like everyone's afraid of getting possessed by demons, but nobody knows where those demons, where they came from or what they're about. You know, if you look at the Bible, you can read all about demons, but where are these demons come from? Where did they come from? Well, I'll tell you where they came from. They came from astrology. They came absolutely from astrology. And, you know, I guess if they said that, you know, you could talk about, you know, told them you could talk about demons all day long, but you can't talk about astrology, well, then you can't explain where the demons came from if you can't talk about astrology, because literally all the demons came from astrology. And when they, you know, they kept the demons, but they got rid of the astrology, which is a big issue. There was a lot of, we're talking about conspiracy on the highest levels. We're talking about massive conspiracy. We're talking about massive murder. We're talking about, you know, killing off the entire race of pagans. We're talking about burning tens to maybe 10 to 20,000 women burned alive at the stake, killed off just because they were female, that worship the goddess, which they absolutely removed from power. And they removed that goddess so clean and clear and true that there used to be a god and a goddess, and literally by the time that by the time 0 year came around and Jesus was born, it was pretty much that there was no astrology anymore. There was no goddess anymore. It was one God, just one God, one Christian God, and basically from that moment on, no one really knew anymore what was going on or what had happened. But the goddess had been removed. Worship Taurus in the second house, the goddess, and there was also a god in the first house. Aries was God. So there was literally, for the long time, as a normal way to worship, there wasn't just one male god. There was a male god and a female goddess, and they were both, didn't have one without the other. And suddenly it was just this, when the Christianity race came in, the Christians, suddenly it was just the woman was gone.
Yeah, that is strange.
And no one's talking about it. Yeah.
It is weird, you know, like just because everything in our lives has some type of aspect of masculine and femininity to it. And for us to procreate, it takes one of each. And it would just kind of make sense that if in fact that was our actual creator, then wouldn't he have the same type of situation, you would think. So that is pretty odd there that took place. Could you explain to us a little bit, because I know you talk a lot about on your channel about the plural and singular. Explain that to the viewer so they can better understand what you mean when you're talking about the Aries singular and like the Taurus plural situation.
Okay. Well, if you look at mathematics, you'll find that, and this is simple arithmetic, so you don't have to be anybody special to see this for yourself. You just look at simple mathematics. That the number one in mathematics, there's three classes of numbers in mathematics. There's prime, there's positive numbers, special numbers. Number one in mathematics is in its own class. It's by itself. It's the only one It's the only one there. It's called a special number, the number one, and it's in the class of special. Then there's the prime numbers, which are the first prime number is 2. It's the number 2. And it represents all prime numbers which are odd. And the first prime number is even. It's not odd. It's the only even one, representing all the odd ones. And there's millions of odd numbers. They go on forever, literally, the prime numbers. So we're talking about the first even number 2, or the first plural number 2, happens to represent all the odd numbers in the world. Now, if you translate that, it's what I said was the number 2 is feminine. Literally, an even number is feminine, considered feminine. Then an odd number would be considered masculine, and for the most part. And so, literally, the 2 is the goddess. They call it the goddess because the 2 literally is the even number, and it's an odd number that represents all the odd numbers. It's the first even one called a prime that's represent all the primes that are not even. And then it's also an even number like the other evens. And so literally, yeah, the 2 is representing everything. And the 2 is not, 2 is the only number that is actually it's actually, you know, literally it's the plural and singular, number two, because the two is made up of two singular ones. Singular. There's one singular plus another one singular. There's no plural there. There's two singular. It's completely singular, but it turns into a plural literally magically in the goddess's house in house two, and it never happens anywhere after that. These we're talking about what happens in house two. You're talking on a mathematical sense. Now the number one is literally translated to be like the God, because the number one is a special number because it is not an odd number. And this is important to understand that the first odd number is 3, and most people think that the odd numbers are 1, 3, 5, and up, and the even numbers would be 2, 4, 6, and up. But what they don't know, or what they completely fail to see, is that the 1 is not an odd number. 3 is the first odd number. 1 is a whole number, and it can't be possessed. It can be pushed out of its spot, but it can't be possessed, literally, because there's only 1 there. So literally, the 1 has unique qualities. They call it God. It's literally it possesses other things, and it will possess everything else. But the 1 won't be possessed. It can't be possessed, but it can be dispossessed. It can be pushed out of its spot. And the number 3 actually can be possessed and possessed. So literally, number 3 would be the first odd number. And when you see that, it starts to all fit. So the feminine and the masculine, what we're talking about is a relationship between feminine and masculine numbers or personalities. The numbers represent personalities, and when you literally start to really look at it deeply, numbers are personalities, literally, in mathematics. So you just like you could times numbers by in math, you could times in astrology, you could multiply, subtract personalities, and you could at random start to really predetermine, like presage it, guess it.
And what about with the whole Aries thing? I noticed, because I'm an Aries and you're an Aries as well. Is that right?
Yeah, double Aries.
Okay, so you talk a lot about Aries, like that. Basically, the Aries purpose is to possess other people, but they cannot be possessed themselves, but they can be dispossessed or depossessed. Basically, they can lose possession of themselves, basically.
Right. Okay. Yeah. The number one. Okay. Understand. First of all, what's important to understand is that we all have a sun sign, and then we all have a moon sign. It's called an ascendant sign. We don't really need to worry too much about the ascendant sign. We'll just talk about the sun and the moon. But the sun and the moon are very important to mention, both of them, just like it's important to mention the God and the goddess. And just like the Christians say that they only have one God, and it's just a male God. There's no goddess. Well, then that's why in astrology they tell you to have a sun sign, but they don't talk about the moon sign. The moon sign is exactly just as important as your sun sign. Absolutely, the moon sign, it may be more important than the sun sign. So understand that if you don't look at your moon, or you haven't looked at your moon sign, you haven't known a lot about what's really going on. The sun sign is God, or you want to look at it like the sun is the ego. How the ego sees itself would be represented by the sun sign. The moon sign is the feminine. It's the goddess, literally. So when you're talking about and that's it, pretty much that's all they talk about. That's like Christianity saying, well, we have a God, and that's it. There's no goddess, there's no moon, there's just a sun. And so look at it when you really want to learn about astrology, you're going to start to say, wow, I got a moon sign I got to go check out right now, because you'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm my moon sign, not my sun sign. Oh, I've seen that a lot. People literally don't even know that their moon sign is really who they are. But
Right. Like,
yeah,
it
the
all
sun
makes
sign is
sense.
important too, of course. Yeah. So I forgot the question you were asking me though. What was the question you were asking me?
Basically, about the aspect of Aries and it being singular, and that that Aries' main, I guess, role or mission is to possess other people and other things, but that Aries cannot be possessed by other people, but they can be dispossessed and lose themselves.
Okay, I got it now. Yeah. Okay, well, when I was the moon, I was talking about moon and sun sign. That's what that's, depending on what it is, will make different Aries different, which means that when I say, if I was to tell you that, I can't really tell you anything because it doesn't apply to all Aries, and it only applies to some and in certain circumstances. So depending on what you're on, whether you're an Aries that can't be that can't be dispossessed, or can't possess, or whatever they can or can't do, it'll depend on what their moon sign is, literally. So if you have Earth, that means that you can be possessed. Okay, if you have Earth, you can be possessed. Earth signs are plural and can be possessed. In fact, they're very possessive by taking, like, they like to be possessed by their emotions, by themselves. They're self-possessed. They're also possessed by others. And the fire signs are possessors. The fire signs, Aries is number one. So just like in mathematics, you'll see that number one is in its own class of numbers called special numbers. It's the only one. The reason why it's the only one there is because it literally can't, it's in its own class. And the class says that I'm a number one. I cannot be possessed. You can't, there's room for one in here. And if you try to get in me, you're going to push me out of myself, and I won't be here. You can only remove me. You can't possess me. You won't be here with me. You know what I mean? The only thing you'll succeed in is pushing me out, but you won't get in. And understand that'll be Aries. So the number one is very unique in how it won't be possessed. You won't be in the closet with it. You won't be in there with it. You'll be like getting in, and it'll be pushed out as you enter. So the entity that tries to possess you, it wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work. And of course, what would happen is Aries would get dispossessed and upset. If you're dispossessed, then that means that you don't have your spirit in your body. Literally, your spirit will be floating around you. It won't be inside. It won't be seated in your position where you hold it in your body. And Aries will flip out. If Aries doesn't know what's going on, then as soon as Aries is dispossessed, Aries will start to panic. He or she will think something's wrong. If they don't know, they'll make up anything. Meaning that the Aries that has anxiety attacks doesn't know what's going on. Usually, that's what it is. It's that they're being dispossessed, or they're freaking out. They're like, oh my gosh, I got to get back in, and they don't even know they're missing. And it's like, okay, well, when you look at it, like, doesn't anyone know this? Why didn't the doctors tell you this when you were a kid? Why, when you go to the hospital and you're freaking out because you're having anxiety attacks and they put you on some medication, why don't they tell you you're dispossessed? Maybe you're dispossessed. You know what I mean? Like, do they not know? Are they idiots? You know what I mean? Like, are they hiding it? Is there secrets? Oh yeah, you wonder to the degree of what's the conspiracy. Nobody's going to tell you the truth, and like nobody did. So the thing is that some Aries that have their moon as Earth. So if you've got Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn as your moon sign, then you will be able to be possessed by somebody else at the same time that you're still there too in your own head. So if I'm a Taurus, a Virgo, or Capricorn, then you could possess me, and I'll be here too. So we'll both be here in my head, and we could be together in my head here, and that'll be Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. And now if I got an Aries sun, but I've got a Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn moon, then I'm an Aries that could be possessed, probably. Yeah, I could be possessed, and I'm probably okay, just like any other sign. It's not really an Aries, but like when you talk about Aries, and we're thinking of a specific group of Aries which don't have Earth as their moon, and then we're talking about Aries that cannot be possessed. Those Aries were literally those number ones in that special class, and they will be pushed out, and they will literally be removed from their bodies at best, and they'll never get possessed. And what happens is that they freak out. Literally, if the difference between Aries getting possessed would be if a spirit gets inside me, with me, it's here with me, and I'm also here too. That's being possessed when there's two entities in the body. If I'm Aries getting dispossessed, then when the entity tries to enter into me, I'll be pushed out, and I'll still be here, but the entity won't seat. It won't seat because I'll just be pushed out. And literally, as it's trying to sit on top of me, as that entity's trying to force me to get in me, it doesn't get to get in, but I get pushed out. And so I don't get to get back in, and it doesn't get to get in. And the state of dispossession is a failure on the demonic being that's trying to get me, because it doesn't succeed. And I'm now locked out of myself, because while it continues to try to possess me, I won't be able to get back in. I'll remain in what's called a state of dispossession, and it'll be me not able to get back in my own body, and that'll be ambulance trip to the hospital, anxiety attack, freaking out, you know, getting a fight, whatever. And usually, how you get yourself back from being, you know, in a state like dispossessed, you know, intense, very intense, strong emotions of anger or rage you could repossess yourself that way. So literally, you'd have to fight. You'd have to literally go just like, you know, go fight the cops and freak out, or, you know, you'd have to just do something crazy in order to put the intensity of that energy of your emotions to get yourself back. And that's what people don't know. It's like they don't understand. It's like you don't need to go rob a bank or go shoot somebody. If you're dispossessed, you just need to realize what's going on and then get yourself back by, you could just get angry, but you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything wrong. You know what I mean?
Right. Just get mad about the situation in general, and you know, elevate your emotions enough to be able to be open again to allow yourself back in. I think I've been there before for sure. And it totally makes sense. A lot of the things that I went through in my life, you know, probably multiple occasions throughout my life where I have been dispossessed and walking around like a, I wouldn't say a lifeless shell, but, you know, really kind of like a carriage with no horse or something.
Right. Oh yeah. It's actually like it takes away. Okay, now let's talk about for a second here. Very important. It's very important to talk about. Uh, now, let me say again. You know, look, there's no blaming anyone here. Okay, there's no blaming anyone. We're not going to be blaming anyone, and I especially am not putting any accusations out. So I really encourage anybody listening or to any of this. I really caution. I want to caution everyone to realize that there's no blame, and if we're going to blame anyone, then forget the whole thing. I wouldn't participate. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This is about understanding the truth and trying to, you know, be better off from it. You know, we're not allowed to be blaming if we're going to actually get the wisdom coming to us. If we're going to continue to have the spirit give us wisdom and help us to understand, we won't be blaming. And if we start blaming, we'll be cut off, and the spirit will cut us off. It won't be helping us understand anything when we're going to be using our motivation as we want to blame somebody. So let me just make sure, it's very important that you if you are angry about things, it's very easy for Aries in fighting to understand, wanting to understand. Aries will really want to build a case, you know, like, okay, I've got these enemies that, you know, definitely did me wrong my whole life. And Aries is, oh yeah, you got to be careful because you will want to build a case. I mean, even I admit fully, I've wanted to build a case so many times, and you got to really caution yourself and be like,
yeah,
you're trying to build a case. Everyone is, because there's a lot of anger. But okay, let's talk about understand that one of the biggest lies that ever happened to humanity that I discovered doing tarot that just blew me away. It was a shock, was when I realized and saw that that the whole belief of demons, being possessed by demons, is all a lie.
Mm-hmm.
It's all a big
Oh,
lie.
yeah. I mean, I don't see demons in the same way that I did when I was a Christian at all. And that's not even close. I mean, they are, to me, they are just very ancient beings of profound knowledge. They're teachers. I mean, they are allies of mine. You know, they are not, in my opinion and from my experience, they are definitely not what the mainstream religions have made them out to be at all.
Yeah, it's okay. This is what happened. At some point, there was there was a disagreement, obviously, between the pagans, their religion, and they worship trees, and the pagans were they literally decorated Christmas trees. That was a practice, but it wasn't Christmas trees. They like to decorate regular trees. I mean, literally, they worship trees. They would like decorate the big oaks, and they would consider them sacred oaks, and they lived in the trees. They like made tree forts. I mean, literally, the pagans loved trees. I mean, their whole religion was based upon trees, and different trees and different spirits and trees could get possessed, and they believed all kinds of. And I don't know much about the pagans. I understand. The only thing I've learned is tarot. What I learned with the tarot cards and astrology, and you know, so I'm not claiming I'm an expert at all. But I'm just saying what the cards tell me. I know. I consider what I've learned from the cards as what I know. The or you know, goddess. They were the Taurus, second house, feminine, plural, goddess, race, goddess, the god. They were not interested in God. Aries. They were, or the singular at all. They were with the plural. Everything was designed around us and we. You know, going to be the society together as a two. The two is everything. It wasn't the one. Forget the one. It was the two. And the Christians were all about the one, not the two. There's only one guy. You know, it's all the one. And literally, they fought, and they were going back and forth for a while because the pagans were literally, you know, they didn't build church. This is what my card told me. Understand this. This is knowledge that my cards actually revealed to me. I have never read this in a book, so I don't know. But I mean, I literally was told the things the Christians hated about the pagans literally was the pagans didn't like to build churches. They liked to worship in trees and near trees or around trees. So they didn't build they were like, you know, call them primitive. They'd said like, we don't want to build a church and make a big old temple and like did it and you know, build it and do it all that. You know, we want to use a tree. We'll use a tree and we'll decorate the tree and literally, and we'll make tree our church. And so around the tree, like presents around a tree was the church around the tree, you know. And literally the Christians were building churches at the same time these pagans were worshiping around trees. And the Christians had looked at the pagans and said, "You guys are stupid. Why don't you build a church? You know, why you living in trees like monkeys?" And you know, yeah, there was a bunch of stuff going on with pagans where they were looking at it as like, wait, they can't even build churches. Come on, you know what I mean? At least they're not even sophisticated at all. They're like animals living in the trees. Yeah, there was a big issue where the pagans were bad. They were wrong. They were primitive. They were monkeys. They were whatever. You know, they were just, you know, maybe they were. Who knows? But the fact of the matter is they were the goddess. That was what I knew. They were the goddess. They were worshiping house 2 and astrology, the Taurus goddess, and literally, so they got some disputes, and the disputes were starting to get worse through time. You know, the tension got higher, and I think that literally. One of the problems was that the pagans believed trees could be possessed, and for whatever reason they believed that. I did research that with the tarot cards. It's important to me to understand why did they believe trees could be possessed, and so I was really trying to find the answer to that. You know, that hit me in the feeling there's something there, and I did eventually realize and discover and learn that absolutely possession of trees is something to know, because what happens is when you're not allowed to possess another human being because they won't let you, if you don't even know that's what's going on because they didn't teach you. So let's say I'm possessing people and not knowing it. Well, if they could discourage the behavior, and if I don't even know, by not teaching me anything, I could grow up and not even know what possessing is or that I'm even doing it. And when they don't teach anybody about possessing or that you're doing it or when you're being possessed, all they do is teach everyone, beware the demons. Don't get possessed by them. Oh my God, demons will possess you. That puts everyone on defense, so no one will be possessed now. That's our first sabotage. Now we've got no chance of anyone being possessed by each other because they're all scared of demons. Yeah, now we're going to destroy them all. There's no cohesion in that group now. You know, they're all afraid to possess each other. What idiots, you know, and understand that if you were a healthy society, absolutely you're possessing each other. Everyone was being possessing each other. It was all this intricate kind of, you know, this big like ballet of behavior, you know?
Right.
And yeah. So what happened is that the trees being possessed, the pagans, when a lot of them didn't know about possessing people. They didn't know. But maybe they weren't taught. Actually, it was a secret. You know, that's a very high possibility. So what happens is that when you're not allowed to possess other human beings because they won't let you for whatever reason, you start to get antisocial. You start to become, you know, like you start to become very uncomfortable because you can't possess them. You'll be dispossessed yourself, especially as an Aries. When you're not allowed to be possessing them because they won't let you, and you don't know that, then in your attempt to still hang around them and be around them comfortably, it won't work. You'll be like, I don't even want to be around this. I got to get out of here. And so if you didn't know what's going on, you'll want to leave that situation and get away from people. And once you remove yourself from people, that's the first indication that you're getting away from them, because maybe you have some emotional issue or you don't know what's wrong. When in fact, when you're not allowed to possess people, you will tend to, if that's the case, not want to be around anybody, because you're going to absolutely only be okay and satisfied with wanting to be around anybody if you're allowed to possess them, because then you're actually influencing them and a part of them. There's actually a real connection. Otherwise, there is no connection. You just like, I don't know why. I don't even want to talk to anybody. I don't want to be a part. Now, what happens is when I go out to nature, to the trees, I go out to the nature because I don't want to be around people, because I'm like an idiot. I'm like, I can't, I don't even know what possessing is. I don't even know if I'm trying to do it, because they didn't teach me on purpose, because it's a secret or whatever. And then, and then I go out to nature to try to get by myself and try to, understand something. And I see this tree and I go, wow, this tree's looking beautiful, or it's kind of spiritual, or well, I'll look at how cool that tree is. It's big. I wonder if that was like a spirit. And I start to put, just like play with my Barbie dolls when I was a kid, and I'm talking to my Barbie dolls. They're not alive, but like I'm looking at this tree. And what happens is these people that were out in the forest literally dealing with trees, they didn't want to deal with people, because when they couldn't possess people, they felt like failures. They were like antisocial. And so they went out and they literally believed they could possess trees. And so and what was happening is that when they were actually having these interactions with the spiritual experience with these trees, they were succeeding in possessing themselves, actually. Because in the attempt to possess that tree, just like you'd possess a person, well, when you failed to possess the tree, but you tried, and since the tree didn't resist, because it's a tree, it's not like a person can resist, but a tree can't resist. So when you try to possess it, it actually worked, but you ended up possessing yourself, is what happened. And so when you fail to possess someone else, you won't be able to possess yourself in the company of another human being, because when they won't let you possess them, you're not gonna be, if you can't possess them, you won't be able to possess you either in their company. That's how it works out. So you'll be dispossessed while you're in the company of anyone that won't let you possess them. You'll remain dispossessed. You'll get out there with a tree and you'll find that you'll be like, wow, that tree is spiritual. When you succeed in getting yourself possessed to yourself, you'll be like, oh, this is awesome. I love this tree. Look how awesome this tree is. It's sacred. It's the best tree I've ever seen. Yeah. That's literally how the pagans loved the trees. They didn't know. I think that's what I discovered. They didn't know. Maybe they did know. And for all I know, maybe trees can be possessed, but I'll tell you what, I don't think they can. But even if they can, well, they certainly help. They're one way to help you. They won't. If a tree can be possessed, well, it certainly helped me to possess myself, and that was the whole point. You know what I mean? And That's why I was out there with the trees. So that's the whole thing, is that Aries is going to be antisocial. If Aries can't possess others, they'll be antisocial, and on their own, they won't be around anybody.
So that's really one of Aries' biggest issues, then, I guess, that a lot of Aries deal with and face, and they may not really understand what is going on, but that's really the issue. Because
right. Okay, right.
The idea is that they're supposed to be possessing people and they're not able to do it, so that ends up making them want to, be a recluse almost.
Right. In fact, it takes away the purpose of even living or being alive or even caring about anything. There's no purpose for an Aries on Earth. If an Aries actually doesn't know what possessing anyone is, well, they're already going to be uncomfortable in the idea of having to learn how to do something, subconscious that they don't even know about. So it's already hard enough when you don't know, but when you do know, it's a little easier to know, because, but understand there's no purpose for Aries. If Aries can't possess other things, Aries doesn't have a purpose. Aries is a number one in mathematics. The number one in mathematics is possessing all numbers if it's a one. And if it's not a one, then it won't, and it can't, or it doesn't, And so literally Aries is going to feel like they have a purpose when they're possessing other things. And if they can't possess something, they won't feel like they have a purpose, or they even could have a purpose. They'll feel purposeless. It'll be like what do Aries do? Aries is considered a singular demon or demigoddess or demigod. And it's actually a singular ego in house 1 in astrology. It's selfish. It's self and not anyone else. that would be defined as the first house Aries demon, demoness, demigod. It's a self that's no one else. It's just itself, not you, and it'll be possessing you, trying to get in you as not you, but just it. And then you get up to Leo in the fifth house, and now Leo in the fifth house is what they call a plural demon, demigod, demigoddess, because Leo will be having Taurus in the second house, and so this demon in the fifth house called Leo is actually a plural ego demon. So it's us, it's we. It's like, hey, we're cool. I got you, you know. So Leo will have you, and it'll be Leo's little demon ego with you too, and it'll be like us. You know, I'm gonna get in you, and then we'll be together in there. You know, when Aries gets in you, it's Aries in there, not you. It's like Aries wants to get in, and then you know you won't be there. If Aries will like be when Aries possesses somebody else, he's gonna kind of push them out. Control. It'll be in control of them, that singular selfishness. But when the plural ego, Leo, does it, there'll be Taurus there so there'll be two there instead of one. And that's the whole point about the plural ego is that the plural egos. It's a lot more accepted. In fact, Earth signs don't trust Aries because they don't trust the singular, and it's not Aries' fault because literally Aries is in the first house, and when Aries came into existence, whoever the gods were that made the first house Aries, there was no second house. When they created the first house, it came into existence, and then the first house was there. There was no second house yet. And so literally the first house was living, an entity that was alive and breathing and being alive. It was there. There was no second house. And they brought the second house into existence. And when they did that, the goddess came into existence, the feminine, and the masculine, Aries, was already there. And so Aries didn't have that second. Literally that second was created that second. They made it so the number one could go into it. So the two has two ones in it. One of those ones is Aries, and the second one is Taurus. So the number two is not two Tauruses; it's an Aries plus the Taurus. And now in the second house, it's the God by himself in house one, and then in house two it would be the God and the goddess together as Taurus.
So
that's how they.
I know you had mentioned before on your channel too that I guess in a way that Aries' ultimate goal is to become a Capricorn. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, ultimately, Aries is Capricorn. Yes. In numerology, is going to be the one is the band frequency where it's at 0, where the frequency starts. So if you take any signal, electrical signal, wherever it starts in its band length, it'll start at the bottom of the band, at the top of the band, or the top of the frequency. It'll be Capricorn. Bottom is Aries. So literally, Aries would be, if you want to understand it, in a signal that would go across an entire band with like an octave, in a whole octave. It would be incorporating from Aries to Capricorn, meaning that the actual length of the entire signal would be 10 signs. So it'd be all 10 signs, Aries up to Capricorn. So literally that's 10 different people or 10 different beings that would actually make a signal work. It would have to take 10 of them. But when Aries becomes Capricorn, Aries can do it in Capricorn. It's all 10 of them in the 10th spot, in the 10th house. There's the 10th position possesses all 10 signs below it. So Capricorn is possessing Sagittarius down to Aries in the 10th position, as just like a dime possesses 10 pennies. And now the ninth spot, Sagittarius, doesn't possess anything except has 4 pennies and a nickel. So each sign up until 9, even at 9, doesn't have possession. And so at 10, Capricorn is literally possessing everything, and Aries is every part of that. So literally, Aries would be a penny where they start, and when Aries gets to be a dime, that's when Aries is a Capricorn. When they're actually 10 pennies, as in 10 pennies in a unit of 1 dime, 10 cents in the dime. Well, the dime would be Capricorn. And so if you think of Aries and Capricorn, if I told you there's no difference between Aries and Capricorn, they're the exact same thing, except the difference is Capricorn is a dime actually worth 10 pennies, possessing 10 pennies, and Aries is one of those pennies. And Aries can become a dime if Aries works up to the 10th house, or 10 pennies instead of one.
So, do you feel though that with Aries being considered a god or goddess or demigod or demigoddess, does that make people that are Aries, in your opinion, does that make them very much different than other people, or superior in any way, or better in any way? What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, it could. Yeah, well, if you want to get down to it technically, what what that makes them is a certain kind of entity that is called what they're possessors. Aries is a possessor. Yeah, they're in the pagan times. An Aries person they would know who Aries was because they had religion uh, as astrology was a religion. So they would know. And Aries in pagan days would be everything would be designed around. Oh, you're an Aries. You'll be leading. You'll be leading. Leaders. All Aries leaders. They were running everything. Aries was the one who was going to head. They were the head. That's why the head is Aries in astrology. Taurus is the neck and shoulder. Nations for body parts. Aries is the head because literally Aries is the head, and that's because Aries will naturally possess something and take it over as like a driver would get in a car and drive the car. Aries will get in you and try to drive you just like you're a car. And now Taurus can do it too. Now understand this: Taurus can do it too, just like Aries. Taurus can do what Aries can do. But the thing is Taurus, because no one's taught this and we don't have astrology as a religion, so no one knows. Taurus is the goddess is actually more capable than the god. If you want to look at it, the goddess is more capable than the god. The goddess is a god capable of being a goddess too, and the goddess can take the god and then act as a god. But the goddess is the plural is the second one, and the god is the first one. And so understand that literally the two can act as the one if it doesn't have the god. If Taurus gets rid of Aries, and then Taurus is by himself in house two as a goddess alone, the goddess can be just like a god. The goddess can go possess things and do whatever they want. But if goddess is taking on the god in the form of that goddess has their mate or their lover, their husband or their wife, whoever has possession, or then they're not really able to be free and doing all that possessive, all that powerful stuff. You have to be singular. It only works in a singular way. If you're possessed by something, then you're powerless. You're just dealing with whatever you're possessed by. You're not able to go affect other things, So yeah, Aries is considered to be more superior in the pagan times, absolutely, as the god would be considered. But since now, much more handicapped and in fact cursed. So inferior in many ways, cursed in many ways, screwed. You were awesome God, and then but now we don't even recognize you. And now we actually tell you have a mental problem because what are you trying to do? Possess me, Aries? What are you trying to get in me?
I hear that a lot, actually. So I am very familiar with that, with people saying that, anyways, to me.
Yeah, and you got to be, okay. First of all, understand that this is all strange. Obviously, it's all weird, but you know what? Hey, it's true. It's all fact. And when I actually took me a week or two to actually say, "Are you kidding me? Really? Like this is real. This is all true. This is all fact." And that's a fact. And in me, I've got the God and the goddess. I'm a Taurus Aries. I'm an Aries. I'm a everything. I'm a Capricorn. Literally, in the ultimate, when you get ultimately advanced as you can, you become all the signs. Because if you're an Aries, you'll go up to Capricorn, take the Wizard of Oz trip. If you saw the Wizard of Oz, Dorothy was collecting the heart, the brain, the courage. Aries is collecting. Well, Libra is the most important. Let me tell you, Libra is the most important sign in the zodiac by far. Libra's in the seventh house is called the not self. Aries is the self in house one. It's an entity. It's whatever you want to call it, demoness, demon, demigod, demigoddess. But Aries is the self in house one, and Aries is not anyone else. So Aries is just the self and not the other person. And then you've got Libra in house seven, and Libra is called the not self. Libra's not the self. Libra doesn't have themselves. They have other people. And so, like literally in the seventh house, Aries is making in the trip of Aries ego, all ego when it starts out. everybody's ego. Everybody's Aries. Every single person, every child, every sign that you are is Aries. When you're a kid, you're taking on ego. When you're a child and you're learning and you're just a couple years old, you're all Aries, every one of you. Because literally, you're all learning ego. You're all having ego. You're all doing it, and you're all learning it now. As you grow up and you start to become 5 or 6 or 7 years old, then you'll fall into your actual sign, whatever it actually is. But you're all Aries. When you're 4 years old, you're all Aries, every one of you. Because like literally the egos are in all of us and we're all taking it on. And as kids, they're taking everything in because they're like wanting to learn. And so every child will take the ego absolutely and go play around with it and try to see what they can do with it. And so it'll be Aries that they're taking. If they don't take Aries, they'll have Libra. And literally Libra is often ignored or not seen because if you have Libra, it'll be kind of sitting there doing nothing because it's everyone else. You know what I mean? It's not this personality that's really specific having an attitude. You know, it kind of sits there and goes like, oh yeah, I'm calm, I'm cool, I don't have much to say, I'm Libra. And so if you don't have Aries, you'll think you don't have anything, but you actually have Libra. And that's what's important to know is that Libra is called the not self, and it's where Aries has to get to. It's what Aries needs to know is that, look, Aries, you're not Libra. You won't want to be Libra, and you're freaked out to be Libra because if Aries gets dispossessed of self, it's exactly what Libra is. Aries will become Libra when Aries loses self. Aries becomes the not self. That's Libra. Now Libra was born to do it in seventh house. Libra was actually born to be the not the self, so it doesn't bother Libra at all. Libra's like, I was never me. I don't care. But like Aries is like, if I lose me, that's it, man. I'm done. I mean, no way. Aries will freak out. Aries needs themselves like they need air, oxygen. They got to have it. And so yeah, Libra's got this like kind of blessed. She's blessed, Libra, because Libra's always like, I never had me. I was born. I don't care. I don't need me. But then if Libra does get Aries, Libra will do better Aries than Aries can do, because literally Aries. Aries has a lot of problems with ego, trying to control it, learn how to deal with it. And then Libra doesn't really have any problem with ego because they're not an ego by their nature. So when Libra takes on self, often you'll see Libras being better Aries than Aries can be. And other times Libras will be all, having problems because a lot of Libras, they don't know. And understand that if a lot of people didn't know this stuff, they're very emotionally mental, and there's a lot of problems with, I didn't even know I'm not myself and I'm Libra. And there's a lot of Libras pissed off about that. They're like, is that supposed to be good that I'm not even me? And a lot of them think it's not, they're like, look at Aries. Aries has a self. I'd rather be Aries, So yeah, we're all messed up and we're all bent as a result of not knowing,
And I guess really it's like when it boils down to it, every sign has a particular roadblock or issue that they have to deal with that brings certain challenges to the table.
Yeah. It's important to remember that that literally Aries everyone is Aries. All 12 signs take ego on or not. So all 12 signs will either be possessed by ego or not be possessed by it. If you don't want to take it, you don't have to take it. And that'll be you saying, no, Aries, I don't want you to possess me. But Aries will be the one possessing everyone. So in other words, when you have 12 signs from Aries to Pisces, there's nobody else doing any possessing except for Aries in the first house. Aries is the one doing all of the Aries will be in everyone, trying to get in everyone. And then if they don't want Aries, they'll say no to Aries, and then they'll have Libra. But there's another one that's in there is Leo. Now Leo is got Taurus because the Earth signs actually planned this out. Virgo did it. Virgo actually, there was wars. Like we're talking about literal wars. Alexander the Great was a singular nation taking over the plurals, the Egyptians. I mean, literally, there was like wars for just, you wouldn't believe, the Greco-Roman wars went on for thousands of years, and it was the Earth signs against the fire signs. They warred. They warred hardcore. It's important that the Earth signs and the fire signs they integrate. You know what I mean? They have to integrate, and if they don't integrate the Earth with the fire, then they war and they fight, and they did for way too long. And I lost my track. Where was I at?
Well, we were talking about the aspect of Libra, and when they do take on an ego, that they kind of become a better version of Aries than Aries is, and that we were kind of getting on to the challenges maybe that each sign kind of has their own challenges and issues to deal with, based on the traits and characteristics of each sign, I guess, based
Oh
on
yeah, yeah, right.
personality
Okay.
types.
Leo is okay. If Aries is trying to get in everyone as a singular ego that's not them, it's just itself, it'll be doing it. And then there'll be Leo that has Taurus from house 2, so now it's total ego. And now Leo will be doing the same thing Aries doing, trying to get into everyone and possess them. And so people will have a choice. They'll be faced with two demons, demoness, demigod, demigoddess. I got to say it every time, because
Yeah.
it's just important to know it's not a demon, it could be a demigoddess or a demigod. But understand, yeah, it's Aries and Leo that are literally doing the possessing in everybody. And anyone that doesn't take either Aries or Leo that says, no, I don't want any ego, whether it's plural or singular, then they'll have Libra. And Libra in the 7th house will be running the show. I mean, Libra will be who you got. Okay, out of all the 12 signs, Libra is the only one that's not the self. And the rest of them are all selves. So the 11 signs that are not Libra are all, they're forms of the self that take ego or not. And Libra in the 7th house is not the self. It doesn't take ego. It could take it, but it doesn't have it. By its nature, it's not an ego. So literally, yeah, it's Libra or Aries, and Libra won't possess you. Libra will be what happens if you don't get possessed by the demons. Then you'll end up stuck there going, oh, I didn't get possessed by Aries or Leo. Then oh, hi Libra, I got Libra. Libra will be all, oh hi, you didn't want to get possessed by the demons or whatever. No, I didn't want them. Okay, you got me, I guess, says Libra. And ultimately, that's what Aries is going to have to be, knowing is that Aries will be like, are you kidding me? My enemy was Libra. I didn't want to be you. I wasn't going to be you if I was Aries, and I can't be them. I'm only me. And so Aries actually thinks from a point where it's unique as a one. So understand that this is kind of important to know. Aries literally is in their own class. The number 1 is special, like the mathematics. The number 1, it's a special number. It's the only one. The rules for it are different. So understand, Aries doesn't know this. And so what happens is Aries is full of making a lot of big mistakes, especially when Aries gets stubborn and wants to, push their opinions and what they believe and think about what they relate to as with themselves regarding other people. And what happens is Aries makes a lot of mistakes. And, a lot of mistakes, because Aries will be like thinking that the way that it is with them is the way that it is for everybody, and understand that it's not. It's specifically different for Aries than it is for anyone else. And when you're talking about the way that literally, okay, Aries will go tell Taurus, don't let anyone possess you, because if you do, then you'll get pushed out of your spot. And Taurus will say, oh, really? But it's not true. Taurus. So then Aries goes, because no one was taught astrology and no one was taught how to do this right. So what happens is, well, Aries is doing the possessing. So Aries is supposed to be the one possessing Taurus, right? Or anyone else. And they're supposed to take Aries or not. But the thing is now that we don't know and we all forgot. And so now these kids are growing up and they don't know what's going on. And so now Aries is getting pushed out and like dispossessed. So Aries runs over to Taurus and says, oh my God, if they try to get in you, don't let them in. Oh my God. So Aries is like, oh yeah, telling everybody, don't let anybody in. And Aries is the one trying to get in, but doesn't know it. And so ultimately Aries is helping to, seal their own
Right.
coffin.
Yeah. That
Because
makes sense.
they're getting dispossessed. They're actually going to like not know anything about this. And they're actually going to say to everyone else, don't let anyone get in you. You'll get pushed out like I did. And people will be like, okay. And then of course, Aries won't be able to get in anyone because now they won't let anyone in. And Aries is the one who went around telling everybody that. And so now Aries is wondering what's going on because Aries is trying to get in people, but you can't get anybody. And then when they're trying to get in Aries is getting pushed out, telling them, don't let anybody in. And understand, ultimately what happens is it was an accident, a misunderstanding. And Aries convinced everyone not to let anyone, because Aries is the one to get victim. If you possess Taurus and Taurus will say, oh, hi, like you get in Taurus's car, you'll be in the passenger seat,
Yeah.
and then you'll be in Taurus will be like, hi, where do you want to ride? Well, where do you want to drive to? Taurus will be like, can take you. Taurus can take you, but Aries can't. So Taurus gets told this by Aries, and now Taurus is afraid to let anybody in their passenger seat. Taurus won't let anybody in, and now no one's going to let anyone in, and that's what happened to us. We literally all got afraid of getting possessed by demons, and we didn't realize that there's no such thing as demons. I mean, well, the other is, sorry, there's absolutely such thing as demons. But they're in astrology. They're Aries and Leo, and Capricorn is the most important one to mention here now. Capricorn is ultimately, wow, Capricorn is the devil, God, God Daddy, like Michael Archangel. I don't know what you want to call it. It's all the good, bad, everything, good, bad, and the ugly. But yeah, Capricorn is that has both egos, the plural and the singular. So Capricorn possesses to Aries and Leo as Capricorn. So Capricorn has Aries and Leo, and Capricorn is head over Aries and Leo, and also has all the 10 signs below. So Capricorn has Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Crab, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius, and themselves, literally.
So what do you find that are the best like relationship matches? Do you find that it's traditionally what you normally hear everybody else saying, like, oh, this sign's compatible with this sign, this sign's compatible with that sign? Like, do you find that to be true, or is it different?
Yeah, well, it's that's true. Obviously, in most cases, whatever that is that you're, yeah. But it'll change. It'll change too, because you know, if 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 I'm allowed to possess somebody else, I'm going to be a happy Aries. And if I'm not allowed to possess anybody else, I'm never going to be a happy Aries. And so if I'm an Aries, I need to either know what's going on, be aware of it, so I can, oh, okay, then I like to live again if I could actually possess people and be okay. And they're not gonna like freak out at me and think, what are you doing? What are you trying to possess me? Yeah, I'm number one. That's what I do. They're like, how dare you? I'm like, nobody's doing math. God says, God's little mouth comes out of the sky and says, like, nobody's doing math anymore. The human race they stopped adding and subtracting and multiplying each other. What happened? We're all sitting still. No one's doing anything because no one's possessing anyone else. You know what I mean? So there's nothing happening. We're all still and going, oh, don't get possessed by the demons. And then no one's having a life because no one's being possessed by the Aries and Leo. The way that it used to work was Aries and Leo were the egos, which were what they did was their purpose was to spread the ego or the personality around the society. So literally, back in the pagan times, if you were an Aries, you'd be a hero or a single-minded entity that was literally not anyone else. It was just itself. By itself, it was not. So it never became a part of anything else. It related to everything as if it was only itself and not it. And so that was the hero. That was the warrior. That was everything. Aries was the one who was relating to all things separate and detached from it at all times. And that would be Aries. And then the plural Leo was the same thing Aries is. It was an ego that was also the same ego, same as Aries, but in the fifth house, it has Taurus. It's now plural. It's us and we. And so now it's the same thing, but now it is not detached. It's not apart from. Leo's actually getting into people and letting them get into Leo. So Leo's actually connecting with all these, whoever they are. So although Leo's exactly the same as Aries, Leo is you too. Leo's us. So Leo will be themselves plus you. And that'll be the egos that what they do is they go around in society and they would literally keep the cohesion of the society together by keeping everybody on the same page as far as how we feel, what we think, what we believe, our personalities, our attitudes. You know what I mean? The way we are.
So, do you feel like that, like a one fire sign is good and compatible from a relationship standpoint than like a fire sign and a water sign, that kind of thing? Like, what in your experience from your readings and that kind of thing, what do you find the most controversy or issues with sign wise, like from a compatibility standpoint?
Okay. Well, Libra and Aries are not really compatible at all, unless Aries gets to possess Libra entirely and Libra lets Aries, then they're like a dream come true. So like if you're trying to see some kind of weirdness with compatibility, well, if Libra will let Aries totally possess Libra entirely all the time and Aries can lead, then absolutely they'd be like tight, close, awesome relationship. It would be like perfect. Aries and Libra, yeah. But if Libra won't let Aries possess Libra, They're absolutely never. There's not a chance it could even work because, like, literally, Aries will be dispossessed around Libra because Aries either possesses Libra or isn't that. You know what I mean? It's like if Aries is going to be that, then Aries will be in that. You know what I mean?
Well, tell me about Aries and Sagittarius. What do you think about that?
Okay, Aries and Sagittarius. Sagittarius is ultimately the most advanced form of Aries by far. It's right before it gets to Capricorn and becomes an Earth sign. So Sagittarius is basically the same thing as Capricorn is, except Capricorn is an Earth sign. Sagittarius, kind of like that. But literally, Sagittarius it takes once plural ego Leo takes Taurus properly and becomes a nice plural ego, it's no longer a selfish singular Aries. It goes to Virgo's house, and Virgo approves that ego or not. If Leo has that, I'm telling you about Sagittarius.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if Leo has if Leo gets approved by Virgo because Virgo sees, okay, Leo, do you got Taurus for real? Are you really got Taurus? Okay, if Leo be tested, if Leo's got Taurus for real, genuinely, then Virgo will say, okay, Leo, I'll take you. Yeah, come on over and have tea. Yeah, I'll take your ego. Virgo will take Leo's ego on, be possessed by it, and it'll be cool. Virgo will say, yeah, and I got you, Leo. And now once Virgo gets Leo, Virgo passes it off to Libra, and now it goes to Libra's house, and now it's Virgo, Libra, and Leo, and now they go over to Scorpio's house, and bang, Scorpio becomes almighty powerful and possessing because literally Libra is all the magic, literally. When Scorpio possesses using others, not the self. Aries possesses using self, not others. And so literally it's powerful. And suddenly, so we're talking about Sagittarius as compared to Aries is going to be, it's going to be where the egos, Aries and Leo, get mixed up with Libra and then get combined with Scorpio. And then they go up to Sagittarius's house. Okay. Now at this point, I always like to call Sagittarius ninth house the mixing bowl. If I was, I always thought it would be an episode of ninth house Sagittarius. We call it the mixing bowl because Sagittarius would have this big mixing bowl, and he'd say, okay, give me Aries, jump in the bowl. Okay, all right, Leo, get in the bowl, Leo. Leo would get in there. Taurus, got to get in there. Taurus would jump in. Okay, now Virgo, get in. Virgo, jump in. Libra, the magical ingredient, Libra, get in. Libra's getting in. Everyone's clapping. We got Libra. And then, okay, get Scorpio here. Scorpio's like, nah, I'll stay out here, because that's myself, but whatever. So we get over to Sagittarius's house, literally. Now, at that point, now Sag puts a little pinch of himself in there, their own little touch, and literally they mix it up. Now, all these egos get all these characters at House 9. Okay, Sagittarius is the hermit, magic user, philosopher, religious leader, you don't name it, the magic user. And literally Sagittarius takes all this perfect formation of exact ingredients of character from all the characters below, Libra being the most important character of all, and then actually takes that cookie mix, mixes it all up. So now it's a dough mix. Now we got Aries and Leo. They're all mixed up. You can't distinguish them anymore. They're in a cookie bat. They're cookie batter now. And then he puts it in the oven and literally cooks it into a cookie. And now they're permanently, we've got these egos that are no longer distinguishable. You can't tell Aries from Leo, from Libra, from anyone else. They're not all separate people anymore. They're all cooked together. That's what Sag is. In the ninth house, Sag literally makes the personalities into what they call not really dispossessable anymore. At House 9, you won't be dispossessed anymore. See, the reason why that Aries and Leo get dispossessed is because they're literally separate ingredients that have not been added to any kind of recipe. When you think of Aries as like the eggs, Leo is the flour, and then you've got the sugars, Libra, and they're all separate ingredients interacting with each other in the lower houses. When they get to Sag, they literally get cooked into a cookie and put in the oven, and then you can't undo it. You know what I mean? Once
Right.
Sag does, it's not undoable. It's permanent, man. It's like a tattoo or something. It's even worse than that. You know what I mean? Or better than that. What happens is that at ninth house, Sagittarius has this new power that actually Scorpio has in the eighth. And it really got there in the 8th. It got there with Scorpio because literally from Aries to Libra is the whole life. The ascendant to the descendant in astrology is the whole life of the ego getting born, learning how to take all the characters on until it gets to Libra's house. And now this ego becomes other people too. It's this ego's who now I gotta be them too. All right. So now this ego, if it never learns, it doesn't get to Pasco and collect 200, it'll say, screw Libra, I don't want Libra, I'm not gonna do it. And then Aries will get kicked back down to first house and never become anything really special, you know. But if Aries actually makes it, Aries is going to have to know. It's going to take knowledge because Aries won't take Libra if Aries doesn't know. So if Aries does take Libra, then it's going to be, wow, Aries got included in this whole thing too, and Aries will become Sag. That's how Aries becomes Sagittarius. But Aries has to have Libra in order to become Sag. So when you want the answer to what's the difference between Sag and Aries is, Sagittarius has Libra permanently cooked in and can't be undone, and Aries doesn't even have Libra at all, and Aries is only part of ingredients in the cookie mix, and Libra's other ingredient that Aries doesn't have. Sag has them both, and they're cooked in. So yeah, Sag is the ultimate permanent result of it won't be dispossessed. Sag isn't going to lose themselves. They're not going to be dispossessed.
So do you see like Aries and Sagittarius being like a good romantic partnership, or no?
Well, they could. Well, no, I mean, they could. Sure, they could, but just as easily they might not. And it has to do with because Gemini and Sagittarius are really linked strong, and so Sagittarius is really a triple Aries in a lot of ways. But ultimately Sagittarius is the ultimate advanced form. They can be, sure, they could be. I mean, ultimately they could do whatever they want. I mean, Aries, when Aries becomes with Sag, it's like, you know, if Sag is actually a Sag, then literally Aries is a Sag too. I mean, they're not gonna, whatever screw ups happen are gonna happen in Aries house. Meaning Sag isn't gonna make any mistakes usually, you know, unless the Sagittarius is not advanced. You know, some people are born Sagittarius, but they haven't learned yet. They still got to do we all got to learn, you know. So we're not always perfect from the time we're born. But they could be. But I'll tell you that Gemini is a unique sign that Gemini will cause Sagittarius and Aries to have problems sometimes because ultimately Gemini will be in Sag, will make Sag want to be really independent from Aries and say, look, I want to do my own thing, or I don't want to do with you, you know. Basically, there's 3 cards: the crab, Leo, and Sag sit on their own numbers. They're really possessive, and Sagittarius, just like the number 9, when you add up numbers, all the numbers together, you know that the 9, all about the 9 is weird, you know, like everything ends in 9s when you're adding up numbers. Yeah, Sag is ultimately very powerful, and so they'll be very independent and also kind of like drop everyone else off sometimes. You know, I don't need you. I got myself. And that's the only reason why Aries and Sag might not be, you know. So Aries will be left in dust by Sag because Sag is Aries, basically, you know. But basically, if Sag is Aries, but Aries is only Aries and Aries isn't Sag. And so what you're talking about, if the Sag and Aries are together, they're either going to be 2 Sages. If they're advanced Aries, they're Sag, and if they're just an Aries, they're not Sag. So understand when you're trying to distinguish a sign, what it is, understand Taurus is Virgo, is Capricorn, same thing. Aries is Leo, is Sag, they're all the same thing. But what happens is Aries is the electricity coming in from the electric, you know, into the light bulb in your house.
Mm-hmm.
The electricity comes into the first light bulb, that's Aries. It's a 1 filament light bulb, right? Then the electricity goes into the next room, in your bathroom, and it hits another light bulb. And there's a 5 filament bulb. It's called Leo. It's got 5 filaments. And then, so that same electricity, that exact same electricity that just lit up that 1 bulb with a 1 filament, now lit up the 5 filament bulb. It's the same electricity, but now it's a different bulb. And then it goes to the Sagittarius bulb, which is a 9 filament bulb, and it's got Libra, which makes it do 18 colors as well. You know what I mean? So it's like, ultimately the entity itself is just like electricity coming in to light up a light bulb. It's the same thing. They're the same entity, but where they come into the bodies are different because actually they got different abilities. You know, Aries has only got 1 filament. They can, you know, that's Aries, but Leo's got 5 filaments, and so it'll be different. Leo will be different from Aries, just like two light bulbs are different from each other.
No, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, actually. You know, like if you look at it from that perspective, I think that definitely helps people to kind of put it into context and then for it to make sense to them. It definitely made sense to me. Yeah, and one thing I wanted to touch on too was the reading that I got from you, and then my wife got one from you, and both of them were just insanely spot on accurate, like scary accurate. So I definitely encourage all of you out there to check Dennis out because he can really, I think, provide a very unique, very accurate, very true, real. You know, like you said before, good, bad, and the ugly. You know, he's not going to, you know, take any prisoners, but he's going to try to deliver it to you in a sweet way, I guess.
Yeah, and first timers will get a really good deal. I got a first timer for $20. So literally, if you're a first timer, you get a reading for $20. And I do chart readings too, so those are $30. But I basically do either astrological chart readings or just tarot card readings. So I could do either one, and I'm at thatworks2222 @gmail.com. So if they email me, they could get me there.
So you say like the first timer tarot readings are 20, and then what was 30?
First time's $20. Regular price is 50.
Okay.
And then if for $30 for if they want me to read their chart and try to just literally give them a whole chart assessment, looking at all the way the whole thing, is $30. And I could literally, what I'll do is I go in there and I look inside the chart to find out anything that that catches my eye, that's interesting that we could talk about. Usually I'm going to try to find anything that would be a problem or exciting or a power that they might get from something. So I'll actually go in the chart, try to pick out a bunch of things that I think that they're going to like to know about or hear about, and then that's what I'll base it on. So I present them a lot of cool stuff to know about themselves. That's awesome.
That is fantastic, man. And I really, like I said before, I was so blown away, so impressed, with your talent and your skills. And I really enjoy your channel. And obviously a lot of other people do too. And your channel is just your name, Dennis Eggleston, is that right?
I'm sorry?
I said the name of your channel is Dennis Eggleston.
Yeah, it's traveling tarot. Dennis Eggleston. It's DENNIS, and then Eggleston's EGGLESTON. But you could put in there traveling tarot, and then I'm at thatworks2222 @gmail.com, and you find me there too. You can punch that in, and you can find me on YouTube.
Yeah, and like I said, I encourage everyone to check him out. He is awesome. It will definitely be the best reading that you've ever gotten for $20. I mean, it would be the best reading that you've ever gotten for $50. That's for sure. It was definitely well worth it, and I think that Dennis is definitely going to be my go-to guy for tarot readings for sure, without a doubt. There's really no ifs, ands, or buts about it, in my opinion. If you're someone that's interested in that, Dennis is really, he's the guy, man. He really is. He's the real deal. I'm definitely convinced, and I encourage you guys to check him out. And I appreciate you coming on with me tonight, Dennis, very much.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you too.
And we'll do it again very, very soon, hopefully. And everybody can also check out my offerings that I've got on my Gumroad site. It's JD Temple. I think it's just JD Temple. You can find me there. All of the different ritual services, bindings, spell work, consultations, anything having to do with magic, and specifically left hand path type of subject matter. You can find me on that, Facebook, Instagram, all that. Of course, you'll know my YouTube channel, because if you're watching this, then obviously you already know it's From the Light of the Darkness. But once again, I appreciate it, Dennis, and I look forward to talking to you very soon, my friend.
All right. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
See you later.
Take it easy, man. Well, thank you guys
All right.
for tuning in, and I will see you guys again very soon. Thanks for watching, and have a great night.